point. We've come out to meet with Ammon, and part of this is mostly to debunk some of the things that are going around and get the truth of your side of the story instead of just having people take bits and pieces and then word craft it in a way that it makes you look like what you're not. And so when we came in this morning, well, it was funny because I brought and he picked it out to his friends and he says, and go ahead and don't stop, don't get, and so it's the same as, when people think of you occupying federal buildings to get this very big vision with, coming in and shooting and it's, unlike of what is really going on here. In fact, part of, the feeling that we sit down and go through class or class about the institution, things that are not even taught in schools. And so I think, we'll probably put in a few of the clips of what you taught, plus provide that lesson we're giving this morning. The people to understand constitutional law and how original country was set up, but understand the things that how it's being against. I'm just going to take a couple of things that this is our local newspaper, the Messenger Index, and here the words they choose just makes it look totally wrong, which you yourself said. I mean, you kind of laugh at it the way it was written here. The man behind the armed occupation of a federal wildlife refuge comes from a Mormon family that's been challenging government authority for at least 2 decades. So they already set it up that you're a little bit off. A lot of truth revealed later after Waco, Texas, and who was really off, and that was the federal government coming in and shut down. So I would challenge those who don't understand that to look at that as well. But all of this was done while they were had their ranks in their seats, so we couldn't do anything about it. And so we saw what the federal government was capable of the first experience of that. And I began a path of digging into what was really going on. And what I found was that primarily the federal government was completely acting outside the authority that people give them. That the rules that placed upon federal government, they were completely ignoring.
doing acts that other countries have done that has and that as you follow history, you see, many nations have followed that same pattern, and it always is, what has happened is it ends up in taking of rights of property, and then ultimately taking of the arms, and then the next step is genocide. And that is a pattern that many nations have gone through throughout the history of this world, if you will. And that one was clearly our country was going down that path. And we were in the steps of the taking of property. And also, as you know, there's been a lot of effort to take away and disarm people. And so, and every time this has happened, the next step is that they begin murdering people, government begins to murder people. And it doesn't matter, it could be because of religion, because of political position, or whatever the reason is, because of their ethnicity, it doesn't matter. Then they end up killing them. So that is where I saw very clearly where we were headed.
Okay, but doesn't that sound conspiracy theory? For you think a lot of people that are watching this, that's all they do, and they paint you as this crazy man, and taking the government down this government's taking us down this road. Isn't that what it sounds like?
I guess I don't really know what it sounds like because I'm not listening to it. I'm not on the other side, but I will say that we're very much pro-government. And what I mean by that is we understand that this system of government, which our founders set up, has been so successful that we've had primarily peace for many, many years in this country, at least
over
here
200 years,
on this
right?
land. Oh, we had a civil war, but yeah, we've had peace for a long, long time, and we've had a structure of government that has brought freedom to many, many people and protected individual rights. But the way they set that up was a system of federalism. Federalism by doctrine is where each level of government checks and balances the other levels, and where each level of government has responsibilities and authorities that are given to them. And for example, now the federal government's responsibility is to protect the states against the outside world. Okay, to protect from the world coming in and basically coming down into the states and taking the rights of the people. Okay. And so that's their job. That was the job that the people gave them. It's outlined in the Constitution. So national defense, international trade, and they also are an appeals court, so that if two or more states start to argue or have a dispute, they can appeal to the higher, to that, not higher, to that federal court, rather than going to war with each other. Okay. Then the state's job is to protect the county and the people from the federal government, right? Protect it from the federal government coming down and trying to destroy or take over the states. And the county's job is to protect the people from the state. And the people's job is to make sure that their county is in check, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then to live free and enjoy their liberties, enjoy their freedom and their property.
So as I say, it's a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, rather than just a few.
So, exactly. So, crazy or not, we believe in government. We just understand that there's certain roles and there's certain duties, and that they're completely out of whack right now. Completely. And it's put the people into a situation where, like the Ammon family, and then they're being prosecuted for supposedly what the federal government says is their drafts.
Okay, let's talk about that for just a second. That's one of the things it talks about here. Is it puts in here that they were burning to cover up poaching. Okay, were the Ammons poaching?
Not at all. It's so comical that they would say that, because there's been hundreds and hundreds of hours of court proceedings that very clearly prove that that was wrong. And then the Associated Press comes in and just says what they want to see. To make someone feel, or to make someone look bad.
Okay, and I don't think, the people that read this, they read it and that's where they get this idea. And so the purpose of this is to talk, the Hammonds, they say that the Hammonds didn't want you. They, get out of here. Leave us alone. Is that true?
Not at all. I just barely spent about 3 hours in the Hammond's home, sitting at their kitchen table, and when we got done, we hugged. They thanked me. They said that they support me 100%. And I've had many of those conversations in their kitchen or in their living room, and I've given them hugs and understood their love, and they understood my love for what we're here about. So, as far as that goes, it's untrue.
But why would newspapers say that the Hammonds say, just leave us alone? We want to go to jail and serve our term.
Yeah, well,
why would that be?
That's a good point, because about the week 3, the beginning of week 3, when I was kind of working with the Hammonds, the U.S. prosecuting attorney, the office, U.S. Attorney's office, called the Hammonds lawyers, and there were 2 of them, for Dwight and another one for Stephen, called them and threatened that if they did not end communications with me, that they would be detained early and put in a less desirable prison. Now, Dwight is 74 years old, so a less desirable prison, already he's probably not going to make it out. So a less desirable prison to him is certain death. And also, they're preparing their families to the ranch and all of their needs and all of that for their wives to take over the ranch, so that because their husbands are going to prison for 5 years. And so to cut that time short, that's pretty serious threats that you're reading out. So they backed away from what I'm saying. And they, rather than supporting or talking to me, more openly in public, they began to do it.
Okay. Now, but does that sort of badgering and threatening, does that ring home to you at all?
Yeah, and it's a direct violation of the Constitution.
Didn't they do that to you as well?
Oh yeah, they've done family, that's really what this is about. Again, government not thinking that they have any rules. And when government doesn't think they have rules, and they begin to take rights, people really abuse them. That's happening right now. It could be worse, there's no doubt about it. That's those things that if you don't stop it, or don't stand in front of it, then it will get worse. I don't want my children, I don't want my girls, my boys to have to be the subject of an abusive government.
It also talks here, it says, Ammon Bundy came to Oregon hoping to rally support behind his cause. Is that why you came here?
No.
Did you have a cause?
Well, I came here because I saw people that were going through the same thing that we went through, and I felt obligated to help them. And so if that is my cause, then yes. But I had compassion and love for my neighbors. I could see that there was a major injustice that was happening. And I felt it was my duty as a neighbor to love your neighbor and to go help.
It's interesting that people would poo-poo this particular thing because of the fact we're a culture of mentors, life coaches, and what do other than just simply go out and help people through situations that they've never been through? Now here you are, a person has gone through a situation likely, and all you did was reach out. Were you charging the Hammonds money to get through it?
No.
Okay, so it was, maybe you could be considered a mentor life coach for hire, but you did it because you could, and that is our culture in the United States.
Yeah, and we had some publicity, and I was hoping that publicity would bring enough accountability to elected representatives and also to the court systems that they would expose corruption and the abuse and the injustices. But what happened was that even though we had literally hundreds of thousands of people that were calling their state representatives, their county representatives, we did a legal notice regis of grievance, all of these things, calling for an evidential hearing board, all of those things happened. We did that, exhausting the prudent method, and all of them were ignored, like completely ignored.
Okay.
So
This morning, I happened to catch you on a video once again in the presentation that you're doing. And one of the reasons that I did that was because the question came from a gal that she was talking about in August, they were going to go through similar, they are foreseeing similar proceeding going to be happening to them nearby. And they were actually asking you to come out and do it. But you counseled her before anything, go to your sheriff, see if he can take care of it. Go to, you gave her 4 or 5 steps before you would have, and said, if all of those fail, then yes, we'll come and stand. Okay? And so, to me, that doesn't seem like, here's a person just out seeking the country for a cause to find the become the hero for it, but other than just simply teaching people what they need themselves.
I mean, here was an individual that has a mind, that's been in the family since 18, and the Bureau of Land Management is taking efforts to take on, and they're doing it through technicalities. They are so expert at doing it. Bureau of Land Management. And so what we counseled her after giving her the understanding of her rights, and she understood it. What we counseled her to do is, when it comes, one is end the contracts that they have with them, because the federal government doesn't have constitutional authority to come into the state, control the land and resource. So where they get their authority is from contracts that people sign with them, then they're held under contractual law. So we said, keep yourself free from those, and begin to stand on your rights without the contract. And then, if they start to take action against you, we're talking about the Bureau, if you begin to take action against you, then go to your sheriff, show them your claims, show them your rights, show them how long you've been using it. Go to your commissioners, show them the same thing. See if they will stand for what is right, stand for the Constitution, because they took an oath to do that, and begin to protect their rights. Because all it takes is the sheriff saying, "Hey, you're not going to do that. You're not going to break the law. Hold that one. Uphold the Constitution. So don't do that." Literally, that works. And then if they can do that, then the proper protection is done. And if they will not do that, meaning the sheriff and the commissioner, then we promised her that we would come.
So basically, you're simply teaching, your cause is to teach Constitution, what people's rights are, how to be free.
Yeah, that's part of it. And get people to begin acting on their own. Begin with the knowledge, with the example, and understanding, begin acting on their own rights. And then hopefully others around them will begin acting so that they can protect each other.
I'm going to read one here. It says, leader of the group, oath keepers, past and present members of military, first responders, police officers who pledged to uphold the Constitution, issued a statement saying Ammon Bundy has gone too far. Do you know what they're talking about on that?
It's interesting because that group that he's talking about, or whoever wrote it, they did issue something, but then later they came to me and said they were wrong. They are here now working.
The reason I brought that up is because we you told me to look around and talk with people. We happen to be talking with one of those guys, and a couple of the boys came in and says, "We're here to support what you can." And I agreed that, and I say something's conflictive of what really is happening here.
Well, when we came in here, we did become in here peacefully. I don't know. I haven't packed a gun since I walked in here. I packed a gun for weeks when I went shooting with my family. Um, but because of the media and their slant on everything, they'd act like, we just raided a federal courthouse or something. And
Exactly.
yeah, and so everybody stepped back and go, whoa, what is going on? He's gone too far. He's fallen off the trough, But then, as they begin to understand the truth of what's happening, all of a sudden here they now come rushing in. Because they believe in this, what we're doing is right. They understand the principles that we're doing, that we're standing on, and how we are being the lawful ones. And that there is no future. The only future is this way, standing in this way for what is right. And so I'm not surprised they reported it that way. They conveniently left off that now all of those groups are fully in support and have sent men and supplies and finances and everything.
Two things I would like to ask. It's about this particular refuge. It says you're occupying, armed men occupying. Because you're using it. I don't see anybody here. I don't see anybody out there saying, if you guys don't believe, what's the deal?
Well, the interesting thing, besides the sheriff, or not the sheriff, well, the sheriff and the county sheriff and the judge, and understanding this is a federal bill. We have not had any federal official tell us to leave. None. Not one.
Or even ask kindly.
Not even ask kindly. Not that we would if they asked, but they have not asked us to leave. One federal official.
So they don't mind you using it. Seems like.
Well, the thing is, you got to get right. In Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution, right, it outlines the rules that the federal government must follow in order to lawfully administer, own, or control land and resources inside the state. Okay? We're going to get a little technical here. And the rules are this. In order for them to lawfully, according to the supreme law of the land, according to the Constitution, own this land, they would have had to first go get consent from the state legislatures. Okay? They actually have to go to the state legislatures and get them to pass permission, consent, for the federal government to own this land. Second, they have to purchase it from the rightful owner. So if it's private or if it's state or county, whatever, they have to purchase it. And third, they can only use it for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards. Okay? Those are the rules. And that was because, remember, the purpose of the federal government is to protect the states from the outside world. So anything that is not conducive to that, such as military bases, dockyards, they're not supposed to own that land inside the state. Okay, so they have been holding this land unconstitutional, unlawful for many, many years. And according to the supreme law of the land, they do not have rights or permission from the people to be here doing what they're doing. And so we come in as the people, and we begin to use this facility, and we've used this facility to do what? To promote freedom, to promote liberty.
Upholding the
Constitution. When this building from its very beginning has been a tool to oppress people, to put chains on them. And actually has this refuge is 187,000 acres, 50 miles long, 40 miles wide. And it has taken over 100 ranches to make. And literally over, so that means 100 families that came out here and established their rights in ranching were pushed out through, condemning of land, flooding,
which is what they were trying to do to the Hammons.
Yeah, through the prosecution. Yeah, they're trying to take their ranch so they can add their ranch to the refuge. And this is what they've been doing for many, many, many years. And so we came in, we put a stop to it. we're not going to allow them to continue to destroy families, to destroy heritages, to destroy property, and just let it become the normal.
One last question. Maybe this one goes. You were having an interview with Megyn Kelly on Fox News. You guys were talking about the suit against the Ammons.
Yeah.
And you asked her who the plaintiff was.
Right.
And she denied the answer. She says it was her show. She asked the questions. You can ask all the questions you want, or direct it however you want on this show. That's what we're trying to do, is get the truth. Well, why was that so important that we knew who the plaintiff was?
Well, so she, kind of the narrative was it, or the dialogue was, she asked me, well, it sure looks like the Hammonds, received due process.
We're now in the
they have been basically found guilty, and now they're, and there's a tremendous amount of that. And then I asked her who the plaintiff was, and then she paused, and it was kind of, no one was going to answer, because I meant for her to ask them. And that was my point. My point is here you have a federal agency, right, that is or that it wants the Hammonds' land. Okay, it's very clear they've tried to acquire it for many years. Then they tried to push them off through taking of their water, fencing off their access. All of those things have happened, so they try to put them into arrest. And now they're using the tactics of prosecuting. Okay, so here the federal agency wants it. Now, who's the plaintiff in the prosecution? The federal government. Who's the judge? The federal government. Who selects the jury? The federal government. Who makes the court rules? The federal government. Who lays the laws and codes that they're trying to enforce?
We're now in
the federal government. And
so cards are stacked.
Yeah, it's injustice. In fact, according to the American Land Rights, there's been over 100,000 cases that have been the federal government against individuals on land rights issues. Guess how many of those the individuals won out of 100,000? Zero. Zero. Every one of them sided with the federal government. Okay, because it's stacked against them. My dad explains it the best, I think. He says going into a federal court on these land issues is like a man coming into your home and abusing your wife and children. And so you want justice, and you take him to court. And when you're there, you're thinking you're going to get justice, and they say, all arise for the honorable judge. And a man walks in a black robe, and it's the very man that abused your wife. That's how it is. There is no justice found in the federal court system. There hasn't been for a long time. And that is one of the reasons why we're here, because the people are in a very precarious situation. And it's not the first time in history that a people have been put in this very same scenario. And if we do not take action, it will end up going down the same path that they went.
Do you find, though, that people are so blinded, so misled that they can't see?
Those in the system, for sure. Okay, those that are in the system employed by, I hate to say generalize, because that's not all true. There are most that we see in the system are blind, right? But outside of it, they're kind of in kind of question, if you will. But then those that are, understand the land issues, business owners that have to actually produce and make an income for themselves, they fully understand this. And they see where the federal government's coming down into every industry. It's come down into the auto industry, the banking industry, the finance industry, coming down into the housing industry, into the healthcare industry. And they're literally going down in there. They've identified where the wealth is. And they've come through their codes and regulations, they've identified and grabbed a hold of that and just sucked the wealth right out. And so it's leaving very little for the business owner, for the employee really, and for the product to be able to make a profit, and that's what they're doing.
Basically strangulating on.
Yeah. I like to call them modern day conquerors. They found a very deceptive way to come down and conquer, because conquerors, all they did is they went in and they controlled the land and resources, and then they controlled the people. Okay, well, that's all they're doing. They've come down in and controlled the land and resources, the industries, and now, therefore, they can control the people. They're plundering upon the American people's wealth.
Is there any question that I haven't asked you that I should be asking you?
I don't think so. You've done a pretty good job. It just, if I could emphasize again that point that all wealth is generated from the earth. Everything that we have, everything that we benefit from man comes from the earth. And our clothing, our food, our houses, our comfort, our vehicles, our phones, all of that came from the earth. All of those resources to make those came from the earth. And whoever controls the land and the resources has full control of the people. And our founders understood that it was the only safe place for the land and the resources was distributed into the people's hands, into the individuals, that it was not safe in one entity, whether it's corporation, whether it's government, or whether it's just an individual that, owned tons of, it wasn't safe there, because then the people couldn't access it, they couldn't use it and benefit from it, and it would hinder their pursuit of happiness. And so, I'll just leave with that. We must protect the land and the resources, or we do not have a future.
Very good. Appreciate it. This is, once again, Don Allen Rico with On-Q Viewpoint. We've been with Ammon Bundy just to kind of get some of the meat and potatoes of what's really going on. Thank you for letting us come out and be with you.
Yeah.
Well, again, very good.